Sonny Hostin, one of the co-hosts of The View, the daytime talk show geared towards divorced women living off of their husband's alimony, and baby mamas living off of our tax dollars, so they have their afternoons free. She was recently on the PBS series Finding Your Roots, which traces celebrities' ancestry, and boy was she surprised. She is, or rather thought that she was, half Puerto Rican, half black, so this news hit her particularly hard.
Wow. I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, you know, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was...
Wait for it.
My family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Yeah. So how are you feeling, my friend?
I think it's actually pretty interesting that my husband and I have shared roots.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that. And I think it's great for our children to know this information. I guess it's a fact of life that this is how some people made their living.
Yeah, a lot of people, especially black people in Africa, who not only enslaved their fellow Africans, but then they were the ones who sold many of those slaves to the Europeans, who then brought them to North America. In fact, over 1 million white Europeans were kidnapped by African slave traders, the Barbary pirates, and then brought to Africa as slaves between the 16th and 19th century. And since February is Black History Month, we need to do a better job of informing the black people in America of, well, their history. And now, as you can imagine, Sonny Hostin is receiving widespread mockery on Twitter. I still refuse to call it X. I'm sorry, but X is just utterly ridiculous. It will now and forever be known as Twitter. This from Entertainment Tonight. The View's Sonny Hostin received backlash after Finding Your Roots. Surprising revelations. And now this fascinating historical fact is memorialized on her Wikipedia page. That is, unless or until the PR firm over there at ABC can have it scrubbed. But for now, in the early life section, which is a very fascinating section on Wikipedia, you can learn a lot about people there. It notes on the PBS program, Finding Your Roots, Hostin learned that she has a large amount of Spanish ancestry and that she is a descendant of Spanish colonizers, with her fourth great-grandfather being a merchant of slaves. But she still wants her reparations, yo. Here she is responding to this terrible news on The View.
At first, I was deeply disappointed.
The slave thing is a bummer.
It's a bummer. I
can't control it.
I still believe in reparations, by the way, so y'all can stop texting me and emailing me and saying that I'm a white girl and that I don't deserve reparations. I still believe. So I still believe in reparations. I still believe this country has a lot to do in terms of racial justice. But what I will say, Sarah, to your question is that
this poor half-black, part Puerto Rican woman just couldn't get ahead in America because of what some white people did to some black people 150 years ago. So she needs some white people money, yo. This is the same series that hilariously revealed actor Don Cheadle's ancestors were enslaved by Native Americans, even after the Civil War. After white people freed the slaves in the United States, the Native American territories still had slaves because they didn't follow the white man's laws. So he was extremely disappointed that he couldn't blame white people for that. And for many decades, any talk of giving black people reparations was met with eye rolls, smirks, and mockery. Nobody took such idiots seriously. Until recently, since we have entered the Twilight Zone idiocracy crossover. And back in the 2020 election, the Democrats had a contest to see who could offer people more free stuff. And so, of course, they were talking about reparations.
Congress should convene a study on the best way to provide reparations.
That's a guy named John Hickenlooper, by the way, who everybody forgot was actually a Democrat candidate for president back in 2020.
If you elected president, would you sign that bill if it came across your desk?
When I am elected president, I will sign that bill. The issue of reparations. This is a conversation that is long overdue. So I want to let you know where I stand. I firmly support Congresswoman Jackson Lee's bill to create a commission to study reparations.
If you are elected president and such a bill was passed, would you sign the bill for reparations?
Yes, I would. I already support that bill. Go H.R. 40.
And since California leads the nation in stupidity, the land of fruits and nuts, the state legislature voted to recommend paying reparation payments after getting some important feedback from the community, like this.
There's only one thing that would stop our children from busting into these liquor stores. There's only one thing that would stop our kids from busting into these jewelry stores, stealing watches.
You mean having a father in the home? Actually, there's a couple different things. Having a father in the home, not celebrating and idolizing thug culture, building more jails, keeping people in jail when they actually commit crimes so that they don't get out and then commit more crimes because they weren't punished for the other crimes they committed. But please, what's your solution, sir?
And jury, and that's reparations.
I mean, what's next? Are they going to demand that white people just give them their houses too? Oh, wait, what's this?
Give up your house, give black people back their home. Thank you. You're sitting there comfortably. Comfortable.
You're sitting there comfortably. A gentrified neighborhood, which is a code word meaning an improved neighborhood. Gentrification is when people fix up the neighborhood and then the rents and the property values, the cost of everything goes up. And so then the poor people can't afford to live there anymore. And then they get mad.
But I used to live in this neighborhood. I grew up here and my family was pushed out. And you're sitting up there having a good time with your other white friends.
Hey, you work for Amazon, don't you?
This was during the Black Lives Matter insurrection of 2020 in Seattle. And it's a little hard to hear, but they were literally just roaming the streets and then yelling at white people in their apartments. Just look, it's an apartment complex. You can see the mailbox there. Okay, that is not a house. And they spotted some nice white people through the windows. And so they just were upset. And like the little commies that they are, they just demanded that they give them their stuff. But speaking of some payments that are due, a UCLA professor is suing the school because he was suspended back in 2020 during the George Floyd insurrection after he refused to give the black students lenient grading. And he is demanding $19 million, which I would say is fair for him being discriminated against for being white, especially since most of that's going to be punitive damages, which are designed to punish the wrongdoer, to discourage others from engaging in this kind of ridiculous anti-whiteism. Imagine being such a loser that in 21st century America, you demand that a major university or any school, really anywhere on planet Earth, grade you easier because you're black. These are the same people who literally claim that standardized testing, meaning when all students in the state or in the country are given the same questions on tests, that is racist against black people. Now, you would expect such idiocy from the twits on Twitter and the anti-white grifters like Ibrahim X. Kendi, whose real name is like Henry Rogers, and Al Sharpton, and all the rest. But this is from the National Education Association. The racist beginnings of standardized testing. From grade school to college, students of color have suffered from the effects of biased testing. No, I think they suffer from, well, I better not say it. This kind of idiocy seems like it would be a Saturday Night Live skit, but these people are serious, and of course, Old Joe and the entire Democrat Party are catering to them.
Given that standardized testing is rooted in a history of racism and eugenics, if you are elected president, will you commit to ending the use of standardized testing in public schools?
Yes. As one of my friends and black pastors, I spent a lot of time, Reverend Henry would say, you're preaching to the choir, kid, okay?
They literally want black students to take different tests, easier tests, than white students. Instead of just answering questions about reading, writing, and arithmetic, I'm sure that there will be a plethora of questions about things like, name some tracks on Tupac's album, and what does EBT stand for in EBT card? Is there anything that these Democrat blacks won't blame on white people these days? I mean, what's next? Is this someone gonna blame us for her being obese? Ha ha ha! Oh wait, what's this?
The research says that black women, when we do the same diets as white women, we lose less weight and we lose it slower, even when we're following the diet, than our white women counterparts. And what public health practitioners think is that our stress responses in the body change our metabolism. It's literally that the racism that you're experiencing and the struggle to make ends meet actually means the diet don't work for you the same.
I'm serious. If you showed this clip to somebody back in the 90s or the early 2000s, or really even to anybody up until probably around 2015, they would think that this was a sketch comedy skit. But these people are 100% serious. This is the same woman who is a college professor at, I think, Rutgers University. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. She is a college professor somewhere at one of these schools where she, of course, specializes in African American studies. There is an entire chapter on anti-whiteism in my new book, The War on Conservatives. And even though I cover it fairly frequently on this channel, it still is just the tip of the iceberg. Once you start going deep, there is definitely some sensitive and controversial material, and it's all documented and cited in The War on Conservatives. So order it in paperback from Amazon.com or download the ebook from any of the major ebook stores. And of course, there's a link to the Amazon listing in the description below, so click it and head on over there and check it out.